I'm gonna publish everything.
Right.
I'm gonna have him hold it up.
Just the clock.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was out.
And I'm gonna lay it on the table. Are we gonna be working? You're not reading. Last time we built the table over there, and that's what
Remain seated from the order for attack yourself.
All right, are there any matters that we need to take up before we bring jurors out?
not the state girl.
Not in the defense, Your Honor.
All right, bring jurors out. Franks, are there further questions for Agent Brown?
Yes, sir, Your Honor. Officer Brown, would you briefly describe to the jury how you went about collecting evidence in this case and what it means to collect evidence?
Typically, at a crime scene, collecting evidence, obviously you want to take precautions to try and not cross-contaminate the best you can. So obviously we wear gloves. Oftentimes we might have booties, and depending on the nature of the scene, we might actually put on a full, what we call a Tyvek suit. That wasn't done in this particular case. But we did wear gloves in order to collect and preserve evidence. And so the items will be collected, and depending on the size and the nature of the item of evidence, we have various measures in which we could package them. They could go in an envelope, they could be in a bag, they could be in a plastic container. It would depend on the item, the nature. If it was hazardous to somebody else, obviously we would want to take precautions that nobody else would get injured during the handling of this evidence. So in this particular case, there were several different means in which items were collected and packaged. And then once those items are packaged, we would seal them. Now, when I was here during the protocol was we would use packaging tape to seal over the item of evidence so that way it could be opened. And then once it was sealed with packaging tape, we would put our initials, I believe it was the report number or the response number, as well as the date that we were sealing. And that was just so as I'm here before you today, the items are presented to me, I should be able to look at those items, and they should have what I would call my seal on them if the integrity of the seal and of the evidence has been maintained.
And would you explain to the jury, I asked you at some of the pictures, what you did with the red stains, you said you swabbed them.
That's
Would
correct.
you explain that to the jury?
Yeah, with red stains, what we would do is we take sterile swabs, and we use, sometimes if the stains are dried enough, you have to use distilled or sterile water to put on the tips of the swabs. What that does is allows, if you're on a dry stain, allows as you're pressing the swabs into the stain, allows for the stain to absorb into the swabs. These stains are then placed into a sterile packaging container and then put usually in another envelope, and there again go through the same process of sealing those and placing your initials on them, and then they're submitted to our property division here at Durham Police Department. And from there, it's possible they could sit in property or they could be submitted to the state lab for further analysis.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am.
Officer Brown, I'll show you what's been marked State's Exhibit 162. If you take a moment to see if you can identify that item from its packaging.
Yes, ma'am. This has my seal on.
And what is item 162?
It shows a styrofoam with a red stain from marker 1.
And State's Exhibit number 21. If you take a moment, see if you can identify that item.
This here would be from marker 2 from the couch, the swab with the red stain from the couch. And my seal is on this envelope as well.
And are both State's Exhibit 162 and 21 still in sealed condition?
It appears so, yes.
Your Honor, at this time, the State will move to enter into evidence State Exhibits 162 and 21.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
They're allowed.
May I approach the witness again, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am.
Officer, I'll show you what's been marked State's Exhibit number 22. See if you can identify that item.
This here appears to be a knife collected from marker 3. My seal is just one of many on this one.
Is it still in a sealed condition at this time?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Your Honor, State will move to enter into evidence State's Exhibit number 22.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
It's allowed.
If you would open that one.
Yep, that part right there.
please take those items out and hold them up for the juror?
First item is a knife blade. And then the other item is a knife handle.
And again, where were these particular items found?
With that one indicated from marker 3 of them.
Now, approach the witness again, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
Officer, show you what's been marked State's Exhibit 23. If you take a moment, see if you can identify that item.
This was a knife collected from marker number 4. And once again, I do observe my seal on this particular item.
Your Honor, the state moved to enter State's Exhibit number 23.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
It's allowed.
If you would, please open that item. And if you would please take that item and show it to the jury and explain where that item was found.
This is a knife completely intact, and this was found from marker 4 within the crime scene. I believe marker 4 was on the living room couch.
I'm going to approach the witness again, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, if I can go back to State's Exhibit number 22, that knife and blade, was that the one that was stabbed into the couch and broken off?
Don't recall.
I'll show you what's been marked State's Exhibit number 45, and you identify that item.
This appeared to be swabs from the red stains located at markers 6, 10, and what appears to be, looks like a 11 that's been marked into a 21.
And is that particular items, are they still in a sealed condition?
They are in a sealed condition, yes.
And are those the swabs that you took from the stains inside the apartment?
It would appear so. I see on the envelope packaging that is actually number 21, so that is correct.
May I approach the witness again, Your Honor?
Yes.
Officer, I'll show you what's been marked State's Exhibit 163. If you take a moment, see if you can identify that item.
Now, this is prayer brass knuckles that were collected from marker 5. I believe it was on the entertainment center in the living room.
And is that packaging still sealed?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, State moved to enter State's Exhibit 25 and 163.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
They are allowed.
You would open 163 and take out the brass knuckles and hold those up for the jury, please. Would you hold them up and explain to the jury what they are?
Oh, I apologize. These were what I call brass knuckles that were collected from Marker 5, which would have been on the entertainment center in the living room and the crime scene.
Thank you. May I approach the witness again, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll show you what's been marked State's Exhibit 27. If you take a moment, see if you can identify that item.
This would appear to be a knife handle from Marker 7, and it does have my seal, and it's still in the same integrity, seal.
And marker 7, was that from the kitchen floor?
I believe so, yes.
And you believe you still said it was under seal?
It's still sealed, yes, correct.
Your Honor, State would move to enter into evidence State's Exhibit number 27.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
It's allowed.
If you would please open State's Exhibit number 27 and demonstrate and illustrate to the jury what it is.
This was the knife handle collected from Marker 7, which would have been on the kitchen floor.
Thank you. May I approach the witness again?
Yes.
Officer, now I'll show you what's been marked State's Exhibit number 28. If you take a moment, see if you can identify that item.
Yes, ma'am. This would be the several knives that were seen at Marker 8. It was on the back kitchen counter. It was located near the knife block. There were several knives that were collected from that particular area. And this is in a sealed container. It does have my seal on it.
Your Honor, State would move to enter into evidence State's Exhibit number 28.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
It's allowed.
Thank you. If you would please open that exhibit and demonstrate to the jury what is inside of it.
These were several of the knives that were located from Marker 8 on the kitchen counter.
Thank you, Officer. How many approach the witness again, Your Honor?
Yes.
Now I'll show you what's been marked State's Exhibit number 45. Can you identify the item?
This here appears to be hair that was collected from Marker number 9 within the crime scene. It is still in the sealed container with my seal on.
Your Honor, State moved to enter into evidence State's Exhibit 45.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
It's allowed.
Can we approach the witness again, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am.
Officer, I'll show you what's been marked State's Exhibit 26 and 29. If you'll begin with item 26, see if you can identify that item.
Item 26, or State's Exhibit 26, is Marker 11, which was a piece of what appeared to be a knife blade collected from the crime scene. It's in a sealed container with my seal present on the container.
And item 29?
Item 29 is a piece of a knife blade from Marker 12. It is as well in a sealed container, and my initials and seal is present on the container.
Your Honor, State would move to enter into evidence State's Exhibits 26 and 29.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
They are allowed.
If you would please open both of those exhibits and demonstrate to the jury what's inside.
This is State's Exhibit 26, the piece of blade was collected from marker number 11. Okay, court's indulgence while I open this up. And this was a additional smaller piece of blade collected from marker 12 within the crime scene.
And that's the piece that was on top of the dresser in the master bedroom?
I believe that's correct.
Thank you, officer. If I may approach you.
Yes, ma'am.
I now show you what's been marked State's Exhibit number 30. You take a moment to see if you can identify that item.
Yes, ma'am, this is an envelope that contains a knife handle from marker 13. It is in a sealed envelope, and my seal is present on this particular container.
Your Honor, State will move to enter State's Exhibit number 30.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
It's allowed.
If you would please open up that item and demonstrate to the jury what it contains.
This is the knife handle from marker 13, which I believe would have been in the master bedroom, if I believe.
If I may approach the witness, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
Officer, now I'll show you what's been marked State's Exhibit 31 and 32. You will begin with 31 and tell me what that shows.
31 is a knife blade or blade collected from marker 14. It is in a sealed container. My seal is present on this particular container. State's Exhibit 32 is also indicated to be a blade collected from marker 15. And it is in a sealed container, and my seal is present on this container as well.
Your Honor, State move to enter into evidence State's Exhibits 31 and 32.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
They are allowed.
If you will open State's Exhibit 31 and demonstrate to the jury what it contains.
And this is State's Exhibit 31, which would be the blade collected from marker 14 in the crime scene.
And State's Exhibit 32.
The State's Exhibit 32 is the piece of blade collected from marker 15.
which was also on the master bedroom floor.
That's correct.
May I approach the witness again, ma'am?
Yes.
I'll show you what's been marked State's Exhibit number 33. Take a moment so you can identify that.
State's Exhibit number 33 will be a knife handle collected from marker 16. It is in a sealed envelope, and my seal is present on this container.
Yeah, the state would move to enter State's Exhibit number 33.
Any objection? No. It's allowed.
If you would please open up that item and demonstrate it to the jury.
This will be the knife handle collected from marker 16 in the crime scene.
May I approach the witness, John?
Yes.
I also want to show you what's been marked 34, 35, and 36.
Okay.
If you will begin with 34, see if you can identify that item.
34 is a blade collected from marker 17. My seal is present on this container. State's Exhibit 35 is a knife collected from marker 18. Again, my seal is present on this container. And State's Exhibit number 36 is a knife collected from marker 19. It is in a sealed container, and my seal is present on this container as well.
Yeah, the state would move in to enter into evidence items 34, 35, and 36.
Any objection? No. They're allowed.
Officer, if you'll start with item number 34 and open it up and demonstrate to the jury what it contains.
This will be State's Exhibit 34. This will be a knife blade collected from marker 17 inside the crime scene.
And that would be a blade on the floor of the master bedroom.
That's correct.
And item 35.
State's Exhibit 35 is a knife collected from marker 18 inside the crime scene.
Which is also the floor of the bedroom.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. And item 36.
State's Exhibit 36 is a knife collected from marker 19, which lives on the master bedroom floor inside the crime scene.
Thank you, officer. May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll show you what's been marked State's Exhibit 46. You take a moment, see if you can identify that.
Yes, ma'am. This appears to be hair collected from marker 20 inside the crime scene. It was on the area of the master bed, in the master bedroom. This container is sealed, and my seal is present on this container.
Your Honor, State will move to enter into evidence State's Exhibit 46.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
It's allowed.
And Your Honor, also at this time, State will move to enter into evidence State's Exhibits 17, 18, and 24 that have previously been identified by other FSU and SBI personnel.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
They are allowed.
And if I may approach the witness again, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
Officer, I'll show you what's been marked State's Exhibit 37.
Okay.
If you take a moment, see if you can identify those items.
Yeah, this would appear to be what's been marked as number 23, clothing from Reginald Day. This would appear to be clothing that was collected from Mr. Day.
And I believe that this is the clothing where you had found red stains on the jeans.
I believe so, yes, ma'am.
And is it still in a sealed condition?
Yes, ma'am, it is, and my seal is present on this.
Your Honor, State will move into evidence State's Exhibit 37.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Allowed.
May I approach the witness again, Your Honor?
Yes.
Officer, I'll show you what's been marked State's Exhibit 38. See if you can identify those items.
Yes, ma'am, this would appear to be the container containing the clothing from Crystal Mangum. And this is in a sealed container, and my seal is present on this container.
Your Honor, State will move to enter into evidence State's Exhibit number 38.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Allowed.
If you would please open State's Exhibit 38. If you can pull out the shirt and counsel, one at a time, please.
Okay. This first piece here would be what I was referring to as the outer shirt that the defendant had on.
And the scale tape, the one indicated in the photos.
Yes, ma'am, that is.
And if you will also pull out the counsel.
This is the camisole, or what I was referring to as the inner shirt worn by the defendant. And there are, as you can see, some of the scale tape is still marked on this particular item, and others have fallen off probably during transit or just over time.
And as far as the shoes and the pants that you collected also inside this exhibit, were any red stains discovered on any of those items?
Not that I observed.
I believe you also said that you took some sketches of the crime scene.
That is correct.
And would you describe for the jury what type of sketches you took?
We do typically in crime scene what's called a bird's eye sketch, essentially, where you're looking straight down into a scene. And this particular area, we start out by doing a rough sketch, which is hand-drawn, not always the best artistic ability, but we draw to the best of our ability. And sometimes we take measurements, sometimes it's not needed. If you have regular size room or typical sizes rooms and regular furniture. So in this particular case, no measurements, I believe, were taken of the particular scene. But we did do a rough sketch by hand and indicated where certain items of evidence were marked in this particular scene. And then we go back and we transcribe that, if you will, into a professional sketching system, essentially just to make it look more professional, mainly for court purposes, where you can actually see the items clearer as far as what the markers were and where they were located in the scene, as well as to kind of orient along with the photos where certain things were inside the scene. And so this system obviously looks a lot better than our handwriting does at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning when we're doing this. And so typically that's how we go about preparing a crime scene sketch.
And does that help illustrate how the crime scene appeared and where evidence was located to the jury?
Yes, ma'am, it does.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Also, I'm going to show you what's first been marked, State's Exhibit 164. Take a moment to see if you can identify that item.
Yes, ma'am. This would appear to be a enlarged copy of my hand-drawn sketch of the crime scene, my rough sketch of the crime scene done on the day of the scene.
And other than the fact that it's a blow-up, does it accurately portray the sketch that you made that particular day?
Yes, ma'am, it does.
And State's Exhibit 165. Can you identify that item?
And this would be obviously an enlarged version of the final and completed sketch of the crime scene that was done by myself.
And other than the fact that it's blown up, does it accurately portray items as you found them on that day?
Yes, ma'am, it does.
Your Honor, State will move to enter into evidence State's Exhibits 164 and 165 for illustrative purposes.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
They are allowed for illustrative purposes.
Your Honor, we would ask that Officer Brown be able to step down and demonstrate these items to the jury.
That'll be fine, sir. If you just be sure to keep your voice up so we can all hear you if you are speaking down.
If we can begin with State's Exhibit 164.
Your Honor, now relocate.
Yes, sir.
If you could just demonstrate for the jury, sorry, I forgot my ring marker, but what this actual sketch shows and what you step right there.
This is the rough sketch of the crime scene. This would be, there again, the bird's eye view I was just saying, this would be if you were to take the roof off of this scene and look straight down, this would be the perspective you would get. This would be the doorway, the entrance coming through the doorway. Obviously you have a little walk-in area here with a closet. This would be the living room you've heard me refer to. There are different numbers that are circled. Those would refer to the placard numbers that you've seen in several of the photos. Those will be the areas where I've identified where I've placed markers at. There again, this would be the whole layout. You have the kitchen, the dining area, 2 bedrooms, the bathrooms as previously described, as well as the shower and tub area and the laundry area as well.
And State's Exhibit 165. If you would illustrate to the jury what this particular item shows.
And this is just a professional transcribed version of the same. This would be using the professional software to actually sketch out the same thing we did rough, just to make it a lot neater. And obviously you can see our artistic skills aren't this good. So it makes it a lot more professional when you're able to see clearly the areas where furniture is located, the markers, and then we're also able to label out the markers and what certain things represent on the side as well.
For instance, item 10, that red color would have been the red stain in front of the bedroom door.
That is correct.
And this is exactly where each of the items that you've already talked about, entered into evidence and shown pictures of, were located inside that apartment?
It's exactly, there's nothing, this is not to scale, so it's not exactly, but it's based on where I located, where I photographed it, in the approximate area. It's consistent.
I'm sorry, did you find anything broken in the living room area?
Yes, there was glass broken. It's if it was a bowl or some type of decorative item, but it was what I consider a large amount of glass that appeared to have been broken on the living room floor.
And is that indicated by the blue?
Yes, that would be this area right here, and it's indicated in the legend as being broken glass.
Thank you, officer. Will you take your seat?
Yeah.
Officer, other than what we have previously discussed, did you do anything else involved in this case?
I believe I did sit in on evidence review with Sergeant Bond and also FSU manager Ashby, which was to discuss certain how we were going to handle as far as evidence, whether we were going to process some things internally or externally through the state lab. But other than that, nothing.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Meyer, questions for this witness?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, sir. You may step down.
Thank you.
Your Honor, we would ask that Officer Brown be released to go back to South Carolina.
All right, any objections?
No, Your Honor.
All right, sir, you're released from your subpoena. You're free to go.
Thank you. Awesome.
Further evidence for the state?
Yes, Your Honor. I believe the representative from T-Mobile will be coming. Walk around and let them know about our right, please.
Ms. Officer, the testimony you before the case now being heard, shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Please be seated.
Ma'am, would you please state your first and last name and spell it for the jury?
It's Lucretia Lewis, L-A-C-R-E-T-I-A, Lewis, L-E-W-I-S.
And how are you employed, ma'am?
I work with T-Mobile Law Enforcement Relations.
And what are your duties as part of your job?
I serve as custodian of records. When I basically produce records when a subpoena, court order, or search warrant is served upon us by law agencies.
And was such subpoenas given to T-Mobile in reference to a target number 919-641-4655?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you know what dates were requested?
I did see that.
If I may approach the witness, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm going to show you what's been marked State's Exhibit 166. If you could take a moment, see if you can identify that document.
Yes, ma'am.
And what is it?
It's a business certification letter.
Okay, and attached to it is their phone records for that particular phone number, 919-641-4655.
Yes, ma'am. 641. Yes.
And would you look at it for a moment and see if you can tell me what dates it covers?
It covers April 1st, 2010 to April 4th, 2011.
And if you would take a moment and see if you can identify State's Exhibit 167.
Yes, ma'am.
And what is State's Exhibit 167?
It's basically what we call our callback numbering tool. When someone calls 911, we can put the number in and it shows if they did call 911.
Now, other than the red State's Exhibit sticker, is State's Exhibit 166 and 167 accurate records that were kept in reference to that target number?
Yes, ma'am.
And are these records kept in the normal course of business?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, the State would move to enter into evidence State's Exhibits 166 and 167.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
They are allowed.
Ma'am, as far as State's Exhibit 167, if you would take a moment as far as the 911, can you tell if there was a 911 call made?
Yes, ma'am.
And when was it made?
It was made on April 3rd, 2011.
And can you tell what time it was made?
The first one was made at 7:18, and then the second one was made at 7:46.
And what time zone would that time be?
It would be the time zone that the person is actually in, so East Coast.
And if you look at State's Exhibit number 166, and is that the actual phone records?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
And I believe these phone records are in,
Pacific Standard Time.
so that would be 3 hours different from Eastern Standard Time.
Yes.
Would that be the same on the 911?
Oh, yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. I did not know that it was prepaid.
So it would be, instead of 7:18, 3:18 in the morning?
Yes, ma'am.
And likewise for the phone records?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. No further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Myers?
Nothing further.
All right, ma'am, you may step down.
Thank you.
Your Honor, we would ask that she be released.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Ma'am, you're released from your subpoena, you're free to go.
Just leave those right there, ma'am.
Further evidence for the state?
Your Honor, State would call Cricket representative. Place your left hand on and raise your right, please.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you now give before this case now being heard shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Maybe so.
Please be seated.
Ms. Franks?
Thank you. Sir, if you would please say your first and last name and spell it for the court reporter.
Timothy Guttridge, Gutteridge.
And how are you employed?
I'm employed with Newstar, who is contracted by Cricket Communications for their legal compliance responsibilities.
And what are your duties?
I process subpoenas and other legal process for data, including incoming and outgoing phone calls, SMS records, cell site data, and I produce them upon the request of LEAs and law enforcement officers.
And did you do that in reference to a target number of 919-519-2397?
Yes, ma'am.
And how are those records kept?
The data is kept in the ordinary course of business, which means that it's captured and retained by Cricket Systems at the time that the calls took place, and then they are produced by an analyst when they query that phone call and that specified records for those dates.
And does it also give over any information as far as text messages, multimedia, or anything of that nature?
We can produce SMS logs, which is the incoming and outgoing text messages from a phone. It will not be including content.
And why would it not include the content?
That depends on the service provider and what they want to do with the data. It requires a vast amount of data to store content of text messages, which would incur large costs upon the service provider.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, I'll show you what's been marked States Exhibit 168.
Okay.
You take a moment, see if you can identify that item.
Yeah, I can identify this as the records that we produced in regards to this request.
And what time period, as far as dates, do they cover?
They cover April 1st, 2011 through, oh, excuse me, April 1st, 2011 through April 4th, 2011.
And what is the time zone that the calls were made?
These would be Eastern Standard.
And who did that target number belong to?
We cannot officially say who the target number belonged to. We can say that the number associated with the name associated with the account is Crystal Mangum.
And was State's Exhibit number 168 kept in the normal, regular course of business?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, State will move to enter into evidence at this time, State's Exhibit 168.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
It's allowed.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Cross-examine.
No.
All right. Thank you, sir. You may step down.
Your Honor, we would ask that he also be released to file.
All right, sir, you're released from your subpoena. You're free to go.
Your Honor, if I may approach the witness.
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, the State would ask to publish State's Exhibits 166, 167, and 168, and I do have copies.
All right. Counsel, if you'll approach just very briefly.
Your Honor, as to State's Exhibit 166 and 167, the State would ask the court to find judicial notice finding that Eastern Standard Time is 3 hours different from Pacific Time, so the 7:18 would have actually been 4:18 a.m.
All right. The court takes judicial notice that there's a 3-hour time difference between Eastern Standard Time and Pacific Time, and that 7 minus 3 is 4.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
I believe I have copies. If I may.
Yes, ma'am.